Hi, everybody. My name's Holly Foster Wells, and I'm Peggy Lee's granddaughter and the president of Peggy Lee Associates. I'm so excited to be here today as part of the Songbook Academy Songbook 101 class, talking about my favorite singer, Peggy Lee. So just jumping in, I get asked a lot of questions about my grandmother. Did I know her? Who was she? Not everybody knows her name, but you probably know her music. You've heard it in television shows, commercials, films, and out and about in restaurants all over the place. But let me tell you a little bit about her. So she was a jazz singer and a pop singer, mainly, although there was no genre of music that she didn't like, actually. Well, there was one, she told me, acid rock. She wasn't into acid rock, but she just resonated with lyrics. So if there was a lyric that spoke to her, then to her, that was good music. It didn't matter the genre. She was mostly known for her subtlety and her soft approach to singing. She called it softly with feeling, where she would go inside of herself and just almost sing for herself. She could belt when she wanted to, but she often didn't want to. She said that singing I love you, shouting I love you didn't make sense to her. And a lot of her songs were about love and connecting with people. She was a really spiritual person, and she'd had a lot of pain in her early life. And I really think that her spirituality and music were the two things that really pulled her through life and got her through life. And she was just an incredible communicator of emotion. That's what she was trying to do. And she did it through her singing, and she also did it through her songwriting. One of the interesting things about her, she's one of the very first contemporary singer-songwriters. She started writing music back in the 1940s, and that was not really done back then, especially when you think about it, for a woman. And she would write these songs, and these songs like It's a Good Day and Manana and I Don't Know Enough About You, those are some of her early hits. They became big hits and put her on the map. And that leads me to another interesting point about her is she was also a sharp businesswoman. She started her own publishing company with those very songs that I just mentioned. And that is the company that I still run to this day. She told me this music is going to outlive me, and one day I would be running her company. And I couldn't even imagine what that meant at the time, but here I am doing it all these years later. She was born in 1920 in North Dakota, and I mention that because this is her centennial year. Here we are in 2020, and we are celebrating her music. Still, I think she would be so happy to know that her music lives on. People like Billie Eilish and Adele and Madonna, Katie Lang, Diana Krall, Bette Midler, so many singers talk about her as being an inspiration to her. Katy Perry, she was actually voted one of VH1's top 100 women of rock and roll, which I think would amuse her. But she really did kind of pave the path for some of these artists. Now we take it for granted that women artists can be in charge of their careers. But back in the 40s, when my grandmother got her start, that wasn't really done. So she thought outside of the box. She had a tremendous amount of courage. She was handed a script of how women are supposed to behave, and she didn't accept it. She wasn't afraid to say no, and she wasn't afraid to cause a stir and do things her own way. She had such a vision for her music, and she wanted, musicians to be in line with that. And when they weren't, she wasn't afraid to speak up. And she inspires me every day because of that courage. Nobody gave her permission to do the things that she did. She just did them. And I hope that you'll learn more about her going to peggylee.com and going on to YouTube and finding out a little bit more about what she's all about. She recorded over 1,100 songs, wrote over 200 songs, had a 7-decade career, really starting on the radio in the 1930s and touring all the way through into, the 1990s. And she just obviously is one of my greatest inspirations. And I'm so proud to be doing this job. And I'm so happy to have people like you who are continuing to keep the Great American Songbook alive, jazz, and celebrating these classic artists like Peggy Lee. So thank you very much. Enjoy your class and check out Peggy Lee. Take care. Bye.